Hello, my beautiful moonbeams. Today is 5/6, May 6th, and I wanted to do a little checking in with the KFL, which is my home planet, Kalinia. They are part of the Galactic Federation, so there's a few things I wanted to go over with them. Well, this was twice that I recorded, and Dark does not want me recording. So I'm going to make sure that this records. I'm going to keep checking it. I'm going to just keep going over it. It is getting kind of ridiculous that they won't let me record when I need to record. Anyway, the things that I'm going to talk about on this video, because we are going to check in with the KFL, which is the planet I'm from, called Kalinia, and the GFL. Kalinia, my planet, is part of the GFL Federation of Planets, the Galactic Federation of Planets. So I tend to check in with them on a lot of things, as well as the GFL. But one of the things we are checking in on is manifesting, how to properly connect to your star family, radiation poisoning, what does that look like in the future for us, society dealing with the new awakening, what does that look like? So we're going to check in on some of these other things with the KFL and the GFL. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was manifesting, because yesterday was 5/5, and at 5:55 p.m. was a big burst of manifesting energy. And every time I talked about it on the two recordings that didn't record, my face started itching. It's like somebody keeps touching my face. Anyway, oh, so itchy. So the 5/5 at 5:55, I even went on to my Mooniverse membership and discussed these things with them. I gave them a meditation to follow, some posting prompts, so that they were ready, prepared at the time to manifest what they envisioned. Now, what I find with most humans is they make it a lot more difficult than they need to. I'm going to give you some simple tips for manifesting. You're going to want to go to like Spotify or YouTube, find a meditational high hertz frequency to visually manifest through. Not a guided one, just a simple background high hertz frequency, okay? And with this frequency, you're going to visualize yourself manifesting what you deeply want. So if that is a car, you're going to walk out your front door. And what you'll notice when you walk out your front door, if you step into that reality, the colors are going to be brighter, things are just going to be brighter around you. It will just feel different as you step over the threshold of your front door into that new reality. Now, if it's a new car, you're going to go into your car and drive as if you're in your new car. If it's a new house, you're going to drive to your new house and envision yourself in a new house. You're going to, vacuum your carpets as if you're vacuuming your living room in your new house, or wiping down the countertops because it feels as if you're in your new kitchen in your new house. This is how simple this is. Not envisioning the old, but being in the old, visioning as if you're in the new. And the universe is going to simply align to your demand and manifest and manipulate that energy to your will. It's as simple as that. Humans tend to stand in their own way, especially when it comes to mindful thoughts and envisioning these things and how powerful they can be when manifesting what you want. I'm going to tell you how easy this is. I wanted a new car. Yeah, it took me about a year to get there, but it happened. I went to go get a new car, and the one I was looking at was a black SUV. And I typically go to black. I try to stay incognito. And it just didn't feel right. I just kept saying to myself, that just doesn't feel right to me. So I was there for like 2 hours. I just happened to, I think, forget like my license or something. I went out to my car, and right next to my car, to the left, if I'm looking at my car, was a beautiful bright blue brand new car. And I was like, that's my car. Like, I just immediately knew that was that was my car. So I go back in, I tell the guy, the car sitting next to mine, I want that car. And he goes out and he came back in and he's like, that car just arrived today, an hour ago. And he said, it's actually not even for sale. I'll have to check to see if it's for sale and if I can sell it to you, because it's not, those cars are not to be sold until next year, because they're the next year's version of the new car. And I was like, yeah, please do, because I really want it. And he come back and said he could sell it. I was like, wow, okay, this is my car. So we get into the car and he's like trying to show me some stuff. And he goes, I actually can't even show you anything because we weren't trained on this car. It just arrived today. So I was like, that's fine. I will figure it out. It's my brand new baby. I'm going to figure everything I need to about it. So I did exactly that. But it took me a year, but I envisioned my car. Now, I didn't envision the blue, but I did envision me touching a keypad. I always wanted one of those big keypads where I had everything at touch and I was still able to drive and concentrate, where I was not on my phone doing things. Never liked doing that. I was always pulling over all the time because my life is hectic. It's always crazy. There's people always messaging. So I was constantly having to pull over. Now, if there's a message that comes up, the car reads it off to me and then I can just drive and reply back vocally instead of typing it out and having to pull over. So it's been amazing. But in my old car, I would do this as if I had a big screen, envisioning I was already in the new car. So now that we know how to properly manifest, let's move on to the next topic. Oh, every time I mention manifesting, I itch. Let's move on to menopause. And then we're going to move on to Kate Middleton, because I got a lot of questions on Kate Middleton and I've had several conversations with her as well. I am in that life frequency of experiencing what a female body goes through, and it's been quite the experience. And it's only been maybe 2 months with this ordeal that I've had to go through. So one of the things I wanted to talk with them about was being a human female and having to endure that kind of, I call it the alien invasion, because it feels like another alien is taking over my body. It just feels very weird. Why does a female have to endure such traumatic things with this? This is kind of ridiculous to have to go through. And as I'm saying, and I'm already getting like an answer, okay, so he's kind of just trying to get me to embrace how the female reproductive system changes over time. And he's saying mainly this is due to the way we eat and the food we're taking in. He is a male energy alien, and he's answering a female reproductive question. So I'm very interested to see what else he says, but it all came down to the way we're eating and how some people have easier experiences. And he's almost making me feel like it's the food that is being eaten, where it's easier on people than it is others. And also having to do with the frequency of our bloodline, or the DNA blood imprint, which would be our O negative, A positive, B negative, that kind of sort of imprinting. So I'm just going to quickly ask him what else he wants to show me biologically when it comes to having to endure, and is there an easier way of dealing with it? So I'm going to kind of just see what he has to say. Okay. 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 I always feel like we're like still like in the dinosaur times of wellness when it comes to these things, because he kind of like he gave me like what looked like a ticket to the future, like a ticket printed out, and it said knowledge on menopause. And he handed it to me and he's like, here, you're going to need this. And I'm like, okay, that's so weird. And then I like fast forwarded into the future, and I'm standing in these like laboratories where these machines are being made, or have been made years before, and they're just like reproducing, mass reproducing, and putting them into these wellness centers, which are hospitals, but they're not called hospitals in the future. It's a different name for them, um, where it's more gentle to the human experience, because as Earth revolutionizes itself through the human experience, things become more loving and softer. I feel like hospitals so harsh and negative, and wellness seems to be more like healthy, softer in nature when you kind of roll it off the tongue. Anyway, he's kind of showing me the future in the sense where I'm seeing these machines, and he says, you know, sadly, you're the human race is not at that level of healing yet. However, there is progress being made. It just won't be in this lifetime or our lifetime. So my biggest question to him was, okay, well, how do we bring what they're doing with these machines to women's reproductive systems where they're not dealing with what we're dealing with? Obviously, they're like much more advanced in that kind of realm of dealing with this. How do we bring kind of like that laboratory aspect, or what they're doing, to our generation? Like, is there something I can portray to those enduring this? Because it really effing sucks, right? I mean, it's horrible. If I told you the experience and I've only been going through it for 2 months, you'd be like, yeah, I'm in for a trip, right? And I feel like I'm getting like the worst of the worst of it so that I can help and teach about it. So I'm taking it in every little aspect, and I want to blog it so that we're marking the journey and using it to better help others with it. That's my hope with the blogging and how we do this with menopause. So I'm going to get into asking him, you know, how can we advance like they did with what we're going through now? So let me get into it with him and see what he shows me, as in how we can advance into that realm in a better way. Okay, just a minute. Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay, I'm going to stop him right there because it's a lot of information. Um, okay, so women that have come to Earth from the beginning of menopause years or whatever, when it kind of took place, which I have no idea when that would have been, up until now, have all asked to be a part of that learning, because when you get to a healing aspect of the human body, there's a soul understanding of what that looks like. And a lot of souls come to learn health, but a lot of souls come to learn love. A lot of souls come to learn career. So they, they put everything on the back burner except their career because that's what they came to learn. Same thing with people that are driven to always be in a relationship, and they even have their mental capacity be like it's like an addiction where their mental capacity is even being put through hell just so they can have somebody next to them, that they're learning how and what that looks like to them. So women that have come up into this point are wanting to learn from menopause, or they're wanting to learn from breast cancer. They want to learn what that looks like and what it does to a human body. And if they can fight back, or if can they overcome it, or can they tell their mind to tell their body to stop it altogether. So it comes down to, how do you want to learn from it? So some souls, he's saying it was easier on them because they didn't want to go through the rough, hard, sharp, pointy pieces of a menopausal experience, whereas some really wanted to grudge and get right into it, in the hopes to better understand what a female goes through as a human, first off, and not a male, and to use that experience to help other souls that are going through it, who may have decided to go through the grudgy and shitty parts of it. Okay. So it's kind of like this support group, on a soul frequency, which I think is why, and I just said that at 333 on my time here, that's why I started Hormonal Hotties on Facebook, to kind of have women that aren't going through it yet because they're too young, but still will understand what to look for when it happens for them, and that they have a support group when it happens, and we walk them through that and hold their hand through it. So I think that's kind of neat. Okay, so that was one thing he showed me. Then he showed me, he goes, well, that the machines that you're seeing, that we've shown you, work with high frequency, but they also work with crystallized frequency as well. So the crystals that we have are kind of like basic. And then I saw this like advancing and manipulating crystals in a way that they're being put into machines, and they're not just like, okay, so like out and about like this. Okay. They're not out, but they're put into things, and they're being placed in high frequency sound therapy, which then the body encodes and aligns to that frequency. So basically what he's saying, just to kind of sum it up, because it's a lot of difficult things that he said that I'm trying to dumb down, is that we have crystals, we have high frequency tones that certain body parts have to listen to, because they have a certain signature frequency tone that when it is being heard, it goes through a wellness process, a processing filter, to get rid of anything that is toxic or shouldn't be there, so that it's easier on the body to endure through a lifetime. Now, if you do this properly, you're going to learn from it in that way. But he said, if you're not ready to learn from that angle or perspective, then it won't work for you in that way. I just recorded a whole bunch of stuff, and Dark does not want me talking about it because it is about Kate Middleton. Unbelievable. Okay, so our next topic is Kate Middleton. I'm going to keep talking about it because as much as they want to keep me from talking about it, I'm like so frustrated at this point because they have shut me down like 4 or 5 different times. I'm getting so frustrated. Okay, Kate Middleton. So, Kate Middleton passed away. I went on Facebook at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I think it was 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I had let everybody know, hey, I just saw the weirdest thing. I got slammed in the head with something. I kept hearing arguing beforehand. Almost like I felt like somebody was packing their bags as if they were leaving because they had just found out something and they didn't like what they found out, and they were threatening to leave and threatening things. And immediately I feel this blow to the front corner of my frontal right lobe. And it's like lights out. Quickly see a crown. I see London, and I'm like, okay, who is that? Is that Megan? Is that Kate? Like, who is that? Because the crown got passed on. So immediately I went to Kate because she's supposed to be the next crown that's being placed. Because this was a female, it wasn't a male that I was seeing packing the like female clothes. And very pissed off, very upset. So she's very upset. She found out something and he panics. Obviously, he starts calling people and her body is gathered up. And now it's like, okay, we can't have another Diana situation because I kept feeling like this was a cheating thing. He cheated. She found out. There was an argument. There was a knockout. She didn't wake up and respond to the waking up. Because it was just that passionate in anger that it was like her soul just popped right out after it got blow to the head. There's a scrambling of what do we do? We can't have another, Diana situation. And then they're at the point now where they can't say she died from cancer because everybody's going to be, speculating that's suspicious because why didn't you tell us in the first place? As soon as it happened, why didn't you tell us that she died as soon as it happened? So they can't do that now. So there's this replicating system happening, this progression of replication. And your world would consider this be like a cloning system. So I asked her projected into a meeting after I started asking questions about Kate and her, her disappearance and what's happening with all that, where is that happening? Because the mainstream media is telling you one thing, because somebody sent me a video and I asked the GFL, I asked the KFL about the video, and they said it was AI generated. It wasn't really her. There's fake pictures, there's fake everything going on, and nothing real is being presented. So I went a little deeper, and they threw me into this meeting, and it's like this rectangular table. It's rounded at the ends, and I'm looking over the shoulder of this balding guy with a baby light blue shirt, and I think it was like a mustard tie, but I couldn't like make it out because I was looking down, and I was trying to look at his notes. Now, the elite has psychic squads or psychic black ops. These are actual reptilians who look reptilian, dragon-like, lizard-like, whatever. And they are there to make sure nothing psychically is being infiltrated. So if someone astral projects, they're there to get rid of them. Well, since I wasn't born in the body like most people are, I have somewhat of like a cloaking device that I can use when I astral project, so I can stay a little bit longer than normal. There is a time limit on it, but I get to use it. But I have to be careful how I move, how I maneuver, because it's kind of like playing catch up. The cloak goes faster than I move when I do want to move, because I'm telling it to move to the left, to the right, go over, lean over, blah, blah. But I have to play catch up, because if I don't play catch up fast enough, it does like a shimmer, and the psychic squad or protector or guard, whatever, will see my shimmer and then come after me. So I have to be super careful when I do these things. So I'm looking at the notes, and what I'm noticing is they're doing like a replicated system like they did with Brittany. Now with Brittany, because of her situation, they could have her off grid and nobody would flinch, because they'd be like, oh, her parents are keeping her away from social media, or she's in rehab, or she's doing this, or she's doing that. With Kate, it was a little harder to do that, and they're kind of scrambling and they don't know what to do. Because when they did it with Brittany, they could take her off grid, make the replicated system, which they did a fucking horrible job at. Doesn't even look like her. Looks somewhat like her, doesn't dance like her, Brittany never had a space in her teeth. I mean, it just doesn't look like her. They did a shitty job of it. But they were also doing an AI version of it. So I don't know how that all works. I don't know the logistics of it, but this is what I saw. With Kate, it's a little different. And what I saw in the paperwork was that now what they do is to bring a consciousness to an AI. Because once somebody passes, their consciousness crosses over. You can't obtain that. You can't bring that back. It belongs to God and no one else. It belongs to heaven or wherever they feel they need to go and learn next. That's where it goes. So they're Brittany. Okay, so with Kate's consciousness, what happens with this AI version cloning replication? Spirit calls it replicating processing. So what happens with this is they're taking bits and pieces of their life, facial features, things that they would do with their face, their body, things that they would say, their words, and put this kind of all into a consciousness type factoring process, okay? But on the paper, I kept saying this was like their third or fourth go around with this because hers wasn't sticking. And I don't know if she is doing something from the other side to affect it so it doesn't go through. But I feel like she's doing something so that it doesn't stick because she wants the world to know that they did something to her. And I feel like with her herself, because everybody's noticing it so much and they're becoming awakened to this, that they're going to demand the truth. And I feel like something with her story and her replicating, processing, and her consciousness on the other side, I feel like something's going to come out and the truth is going to come out. And that whole elite family reign is just going to collapse like bricks to the ground. So what I would like to do is talk to Kate herself and see what she has to kind of tell me. I know what I'm seeing on the paperwork in this private meeting where this psychic guard was protecting. Anytime I see those guards, I'm like, ooh, I'm in for some good stuff because these fuckers should not be here unless it's some good juicy shit that I'm about to obtain, which I love getting that stuff. But sometimes I don't go and make videos on it. I obtain it and keep it in memory because it's so disclosing that I'm afraid for my own mission and my own life. Even though I'm severely protected, they still can infiltrate just like we do on them, as I'm showing you as an example with this meeting. So, okay. Moving on. So I'm going to talk to Kate Middleton personally with her soul and see where she's at. She's asking if I use the cards with this, so I'm going to use this deck. It was just the one I first saw, because I feel like she's very drawn to angels or the angel frequency right now, because I do see a lot of white, very bright white energy around her with like a mix of purple. So she is in a healing process where she's not doing well with what they did. Okay, so she's talking about the cheating. Immediately got the romance card. Okay, so I want to show this to you on paper, but I'm also going to go in deeper and talk to her one-on-one. A year from now. So I think she's trying to show us a timeline. Okay, so these are all duplicating. Look, duplicate. Where was the other one? Duplicate. There's two of two. Okay, so there's duplicating right there. A year from now, we're going to see duplication happening. Okay. This one? Okay. She's telling you, please believe in her. If you believe in her, the truth will come out. So as a collective, we are coming together and believing in her. Jeez. Okay. So obviously there's something in this little pack that she wants us to know. Okay, that's it right there. It's not the right time for her to come forward with this information because it can get a little dicey. She said not the right time for the replicating to take place in front of so many people. So that's why they're stalling. They're stalling and they keep stalling. And within the next few months, we're going to see something that looks like it. But within a year, it's going to come full force, she said. It's going to come full force in everybody's face. Wow. Okay, let's see if there's one more. Do you have one more, Kate, for us? Okay, yes, okay. She is, ooh, I smell, oh my God, what is that? That smells so amazing. Whew, that smells like very high-priced, beautiful perfume that I just got a woof. Wow, does that smell amazing? Whew, that went quick too. Look for the sign. She's going to leave us a sign that she's on the other side and that she's going to bring the truth to us. Can you show us what that sign... Show us what that sign can... I have dark infiltrating because it just said reconsider what you're saying right now. Come on, Kate, we have to hurry up before we get infiltrated. So, oh, this one? Okay, she wants me to go deeper because we're getting infiltrated. So I'm going to go deeper real quick. I'm going to stop the camera and make sure that this recorded. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to go deeper with her because we're getting infiltrated by dark. Okay, so we're going to go deep. I'm just going to put a white bubble around me. And I'm calling upon 8 different angels to come assist so nothing dark infiltrates. Okay, I see this like round portal spinning and she's walking kind of through it right now. She's stepping through it towards me. She's so put together. She's like wearing like this skirt and this shirt, kind of has the cuffs rolled up here. Her hair looks extremely healthy. It's beautiful. Now this is just a physical form that she's showing me of herself on the other side. I'm getting that she was resentful, but she's now calming that energy down. She sees it for what it really is, which is disclosure, discernment, the future changing. She's apologizing because she was such in the midst of all this and her ego wouldn't allow her to see the truth that she probably should have been telling people. It's almost like she was a part of it and she's apologizing for being a part of it. Like she didn't have the gusto. I want to call it balls, the balls to have the gusto, but she's not swearing. She's like kind of keeping the conversation put together. I want to like say more bolder statements and she's not letting me because she's more pulled back from that kind of way of talking. So she just comes at me like, no, it's just I didn't have the strength or the boldness to be like Megan, where I was able to disclose things that I was seeing and experiencing when I should have. But I know that it would have gotten my children in trouble or me in trouble with my children. And yes, I would have been the next Diana is basically what she just said. That situation would have happened. But she said that night, the night she died, she is explaining that she couldn't hold back. It was like enough already. Like she had put up with enough already. And she just kind of snapped. And the passion within her couldn't take it anymore. And they got into a very, very, very rough argument. They've had rough arguments before, she's stating. 2 really, really bad ones. But this one kind of took the cake in so many words. Kate, is there anything you want to say to anyone? She's very aware of the cloning or the replicating systems and the process that they've been dealing with. And I'm almost like standing in front of them and I'm like, ew. Like, that's the feeling I get, is like, this is disgusting what is happening right in front of me, that I'm seeing like 4 versions of me and there's a 5th one being made. And this is gross. Like, this, I can't believe this is happening and no one knows. Like, it's so, like, the thought process that she's going through is like, she wishes she can like jump out of her soul skin and be like, everybody put your eyes on this laboratory and look what they're doing to me and what they're portraying, or they're going to try to portray. Okay. She just said, I'm with the Queen Mother. So I'm guessing Elizabeth, her soul, not the replicating or the reptilian version of who she was here on Earth, where she had to sidestep and this reptilian kind of took over. And those of you who don't know what the soul contracts are with that, where the soul has to sidestep and the reptilian takes over their mission, in a sense, for their own benefit. She said, I finally got to meet Diana, and she has taught my soul a lot after crossing over and remembering or recognizing her soul. I feel like they've had lifetimes together, but she just didn't remember until she crossed over. So, recognizing each other's soul again and all the lifetimes they've had just kind of came full circle. Seeing her again was such a sweet sorrow, because Kate's kind of feeling like she failed Diana in the realm of her husband. Maybe she could have been more of her frequency and done more, but she also understands that she had to be her own person within her own learning perspective. So she's understanding like both aspects of what she could have done, but she was who she was. She's thanking everybody for their support and their love, and that she hopes that this keeps pouring out to her so that she can do something with it to change the world from where she's at. It kind of almost reminds me of like an artist that's amazing, but nobody knows who he is. He's like nothing to this world until he dies and somebody notices his doodles and his drawings and his paintings. And then he blows up into something amazing, but he only made a change till after he died. This is kind of the effect that I'm getting with her. It's not until after she dies that her mission actually takes a huge drastic change upon humanity. And they kind of just come to her support while she's in the afterlife, if that kind of makes sense. She said she wants me to pick a card. This one? Okay, you showed me that one already. She's improving her soul's wellness on the other side. Oh, okay. She's saying remain positive because they're going to pretend like her health is improving. Instead of taking it the other route of she died from cancer, she's saying, she's actually giving us disclosure information that she's aware of, that they are going to say that her health improved. There's no longer cancer, and this replicate being is going to take over. But she said, you will see the signs that it is not me and I am not it. and it's going to keep glitching, and they're going to keep putting me away off the grid to keep fixing this thing. Once again, just checking and making sure everything was recorded. This was the last message from her is, you're going to know it's not me. Use your intuition. Understand that I'm coming to you now in this form and showing you to use your discernment and understand that I am over here now with the rest of them who have been dishonored and disrespected and controlled and imprisoned, and now are free to be themselves as they were meant to be on Earth. That is like the last message I'm like getting from her, but I'm going to ask her one more time if she has anything else. I get very burpy, by the way, when I talk to Spirit, or my nose itches really bad. So if you hear me burping, I'm so sorry. This is the weird part of my gift. It's so bizarre. Okay. Not getting anything on the cards. She's just saying that the situation with, and that's the card I got, so maybe it was from her. It was a card that said the situation will improve. And I asked her, was that really your card? And she said, yeah, because the situation on Earth will improve. It's almost like she's giving us like insight from the other side that that our situation here on Earth is going to improve, that things that we were once used to will change. Here it is. Because I didn't think this was hers, because I was like, okay, I don't understand that card. But I in my head was just like, did you really have me pick that card? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, why? I don't understand it. And she said, because the situation on Earth will improve. Like, she's almost like, I'm seeing into the future. I see where humanity goes, and the situation's going to improve drastically. Okay, so I'm going to let her go for now. We can revisit Kate Middleton's soul at a later date. If you guys have any questions and want to leave them in the comment section, we can do that. But let's move on to radiation poisoning. So I asked about this because things have been like dying down a little bit with the whole COVID thing, even though they've got all these commercials going on, and they know that people are not going to keep falling for that agenda, which last year I was shown a shutdown, but then they ended up not doing it because no one's going to follow their directions on it anymore. Like, everybody's kind of fed up with that narrative. So they're trying to find other concepts. So anyway, when I was talking to them, the GFL and the KFL, about radiation poisoning, I said, is there going to be like anything that helps us in the future with this? Like, is there a way we can fight the narrative every time they want to bring it up? Because I know that we have crystals like shungite that kind of push radiation, and black tourmaline push radiation away from us, from our Wi-Fi's, our phones, and things like that. But one of the things they made me feel was that we were meant to be exposed to these specific levels of radiation, because as we advance as a human race with technological revolution, and our spiritual awareness revolution goes through that process, we have to adapt to those energies and those frequencies. So radiation was like a necessity so that our bodies could build up to those technology basis levels, okay? Within our lifetime, they showed me, within 10 to 25 years, we're going to see these technologies progress fast, where right now there's not like a high demand for radiation protection, because I think a lot of people are into crystals, first off, or they're not fully aware of what is being pushed out into the environment. I think they just think that it's mainly sun rays, so they're putting sun protection on, but they're not noticing that it's way more than that. It's in our environment from these other technological aspects. So as this kind of progresses and progresses at a fast rate, you're going to start seeing humans becoming more aware of it and then wanting and demanding protection from it. So within the 10, 25 years, we're going to see this information being poured out and these devices or things that advance technological wise to protect us from the radiation, which is where we get aliens with the spacesuits on. The spacesuits are their radiation protection when they go to different realities and different planets and places. And that's what we're getting to, is that they can simply just put these pieces on their body and they're fully protected. So who's to say that somebody doesn't invent some kind of clothing that we wear, and not in a uniform type, because we're not into that mindset yet. Okay, we're not that fully advanced, but who's to say somebody doesn't create some kind of clothing that has radiation protection in it through some kind of technology, and people just put the clothing on as if they're putting their clothing on every day right now. Okay, we don't know, but all I'm being shown is with our Wi-Fi router and our phones, and within our lifetime, those things will be protected against, because humanity is going to demand that they have that protection, or they just won't buy that shit anymore, is what I'm getting. So, okay, I just want to see if there's anything else. How to properly connect to your star family. So I want to kind of get with the guides on what that looks like for us. I want to do a separate video that kind of teaches what a human, the difference between a starseed and a human, okay? Because there's the human starseed, and then there is like a galactic starseed, okay? There's the human that has come from heaven, and they don't have any other life other than being on Earth. Whereas you have a galactic being who is referred to as starseed, who goes to different places and volunteers to either learn from that life or help that race on that planet within a life. Okay, so there's huge differences with that, so I want to do a separate video with that. But as of right now, to collectively connect to your star family that maybe you feel you're drawn to, it's mainly going to come down to, and I want to see if one of the GFL beings want to answer this. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. tried to get this being's name, but Etano. I gotta write it down because I thought she said Etone, but it's Etano. Etano. Like it's how she like does stuff with her mouth. I can't even. Etano. Okay, anyway, so she greets me. She's so super tall, very blue, but she has like hot pink on her. Like, oh God, it's so hard to explain. She's very thin, very tall. I was just like, wow, hi. And, like, how are you fitting in this ship right now? But there's no hair. She had like three, like, it was like this, like two here, one here, really long fingers. And she like up here, she like glowed hot pink. It was like, it wasn't attached to her, but it was. I can't explain it. I've never seen this being before. I know many, many thousands of races, and she is definitely a new one. She didn't want to give me a name because in a lot of races do this. They don't like to be titled or put into a category because they see themselves as all as one unity, no feminine, no masculine. A lot of these races just don't like to be titled. But as a human, teaching humans and guiding humans, they try to give me something if they don't have a name. And she just said, I'm just going to go with Eternal. Like, it was interesting. So anyway, like on my planet, we do pops and clicks with our language. So there's not like, it's hard to put to English language anyway. So she was just kind of conveying visuals in my mind. It wasn't so much words, but she put me like first it started with a little pull off piece from I think they're called dandelions, where you blow them and they fly off into the wind. But it was like this little piece of a dandelion off of a dandelion. And then the dandelion got connected. And then all of a sudden it went from my hand down into the ground. And then I looked up and there's a field of them. And I'm like, where are you going with this? And she said, basically through the visual, that you are just one of many. How do I put this? You are just one of many within a race. But you are always, okay, how can I do this? Oh, I wish, okay, I'm just going to use my other microphone. So if like this is the piece of the dandelion, I went down into the dandelion. And basically what I got from the visual is you are just one of one soul family that then is connected through the field. Okay, so this is really hard to explain. But just because you're one part of millions within a race, you are still important. That's why you're plucked out and concentrated on. So it doesn't matter what you're doing in this lifetime. They are always monitoring you within the collective. So it doesn't matter if you think of them or want to connect to them. They are constantly connected to you, which I think is just wild. That is such a fascinating message to give. I'm just like fascinated that she took it in that kind of aspect. That's wild to me, but she's so right, because I mean, I could be going through my day and I get from my planet, they always signal me on my shoulder blade, which feels like a really deep itch into like the bone, not even the muscle. It's just like, I can't get to it. It's so itchy. And that's how they kind of let me know that they're checking in. It's like a honing signal that kind of goes off into my physical body. And I'm like, oh, hey guys, what you guys doing? You checking in on me? So my planet lets me know. Whereas your planet might just come through like dreams. They might give you a sign through numbers, but they're constantly in connection. They're never not in connection. And I guess I wanted to know how you could connect with them, but her point was, it doesn't matter if you are, we are always connected to you. And I think that's the point of it all, is that no matter where you go or what you're doing, they are always making connection and letting you know that they're there. But my biggest thing is you can always use cards to directly speak to them. And I would try to start out with Oracle if you're not familiar with how tarot is set up and how to work with that. Oracle just seems more open and not conformed, and allows them more freedom to use their frequency in different words and visual aspects. Well, guys, that is it for me for our one-on-one connection to the KFL and GFL. I want to try to do these on a weekly basis just to kind of check in with the energies, the realities, the timelines that we're, constantly finding ourselves in, see how the future of humanity is going, and yeah, just kind of do a checkup, weekly checkup. I'm going to try to do these weekly if I'm not too busy, and post this for you guys to comment or have a question that you want me to present in the next videos. But the information was super, super fun. I started out a little rough because Dark did not want me pushing any of this content out. They kept shutting me down, but I kept coming right back. Right, guys? We're going to fight back. I'm fine with it. I'm good with it. So we're just going to fight back. And yeah, I look forward to the next one and see what kind of questions we can present the GFL and the KFL and see what they have to say. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.